One of the first things we have to make sure our students understand is that this is not something you can just do by writing papers and getting grades. This is a real world skill, just like being an athlete is, or being a dancer is, or anything else that is a creative skill that has no scholastic rubric, some set of requirements that you satisfy, right? If I do this and this and this, I'm a great photographer. It's not that way. There's an American author named Willa Cather from the early to mid 1900s in the US who said a writer owes it to herself every time she walks into a room to be struck by something. You know, we have to start somewhere when we're reporting. Does it smell bad in here? What's the light like? What are they saying? All the senses, right? Every one of our senses. There's always something that a reporter or a photographer or a videographer needs to do to make sure that they're doing their job, and that's to turn on, right? Some people just show up like a robot and they miss everything, right? And if you know, as a journalist, when you walk into a room, I've got to find something immediately that I can hang my hat on, or I don't have why are they paying me, right? So you immediately saying, okay, what strikes me about this? What is it? Is it the echo in this room for a video? Is it how hot it is in here? I mean, that could be the first sentence in your story. That could be the first photo in your picture story. That could be the first shot in your movie. Oh, it's hot in here. Or, oh, whatever. Or for example, you're interviewing me and I'm mad, right? How do I show that in my movie? So so you're struck by that. Well, if I were to tell somebody who's just becoming interested in telling stories with pictures, and that's video or stills or web interactives or a new program we have here in data visualization. The idea we're starting to teach people how to do interactive charts and maps that use statistical information or historical information in new ways. I would say the core thing is always going to be you got to be fascinated about what you want to do. I mean, what I always said about my career as a journalist is that I got to go to work every day. I didn't have to go to work. And that's the power of an education, and in my case, a degree in journalism. It allowed me to find a job that I looked forward to doing, as opposed to a job that I hated. Right? That's a really important thing, and that's why students should work really hard to establish their sense of a point of view. This idea of, for example, in my case, I photograph a lot. I used to photograph a lot of long-term stories, and that became what I did. That's what I was known for, as sort of a picture story photographer. So you not only are interested in the technology, but you're interested in the aesthetics and you're interested in the journalism. So, and all three work together in almost equal ways. If you think of a diagram that's got circle, 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 Venn diagram, it would be story, aesthetics, which is composition, and all the things that go into making a great photograph, and then technique, and the idea of, is this the proper lens for this situation? Is this the right treatment? So if I were telling somebody who's starting out in terms of picture stories or visual journalism in general, I would say, first of all, you gotta love people, and you gotta love walking up to people and asking them questions and asking if you can take a picture, and just knowing that that's what you get when you get to this level it's expected. I mean, you're gonna walk in there like, well, this is my career, of course. This is what I do. When I've got my camera and my pad, my job is to go talk to people, so I will now go talk to people. That's what I do for a living. And that's, once you break through that, it's so much fun. And it's a matter of knowing that, there's a certain level of we get better and better and better based on the types of stories we do. So a beginning photojournalist would probably take those, I call them the 5 basic food groups: news, sports, portrait, feature, and whatever the other one is, illustration, I guess. Those things, and get the single pictures right. And then the next thing is we learn how to take still pictures, and we go from there. So things like that. So I would say to them, you can't do it in 1 week, right? It's a matter of lots of experiences in the real world, not in a classroom, and just loving to be around people and interesting people, and developing the skills to know who the interesting people are with great stories and spend more time with them. Because I tell my students, you can give me a bad idea and we can spend a long time reviving it in class, or you can give me a great story about a great subject, a good character, and we're going to have so much fun. If a photographer comes up with their own ideas, and this is what we teach here, is how to come up with your own ideas, original ideas, something that is about your vision, what you see and nobody else sees. That's where I would much rather have my students spend their career, is coming up with original ideas about real people and showcasing those stories with the world.